Okay, welcome to the third episode of the Caution Free podcast. I am your host, Colton Sutley, along with my co-host Tim Friedhaber. Um, we're hasn't been like a ton of news this week, and I mean, there's been a few announcements of like more high limit drivers and outlaw drivers, but we're gonna wait to talk about all those until more of them come out because they're supposed to be. Rumors are, according from Justin Fiedler at Dirt Tracker Daily, he said he's expecting there to be 16 or 18 full-time high limit guys, and there's about 12 right now plus Kyle Larson doing the midweek stuff. So gonna wait till some more drop and announcements and stuff, and then kind of go compare the high limit and outlaws and discuss and maybe make some predictions on the points for next season. But high limit did announce the I believe it was Sunday or Saturday. PRI, I believe, is when they announced it. That they're doing a charter system. It's going to start in 2026. Basically 10 full-time teams get 50% of the series streaming revenue with Flow. The top five teams in points for 2024 get a charter. And then from what I understand, the top five teams and points combined from 2024 and 2025 that don't have a charter yet will be rewarded one. And then after 2025, there's going to be different ways to obtain one. They said they're going to award some like later on possibly, and they're not sure how like what the criteria is going to be, but you can also buy a charter from a team, um, like NASCAR and stuff. Dirt Tracker Daily, he covered it and explained it a lot better than I did. And earlier this week, and he like went into it and got some quotes and stuff, and it it made sense when how he explained it, and it probably makes no sense this way, but basically Larson and Sweet want to give the teams more equity than just selling their equipment and stuff, and be able to make money from selling their charters if they don't want to run full time anymore. But it won't take away the points fund and tow money for teams that don't have a charter. The teams that have a charter won't have the points fund, or tow money out from what I understand, and it all be rewarded off of um how well you do during the season. So, I mean, I don't know what you think about Nat, Tim, but it sure is interesting.
I think it's I think it's a good thing overall. I think it makes high limit more appealing to teams. But I kind of worry if like the charter thing is like really only goes to like the high winning teams. Um and then it kind of screws over the guys that are not like not terrible, but they're not Rico or Brad.
Yeah, they're not the top 10 teams, and they're like that's
Yeah.
why I think that's why you're gonna see like close to 20 teams sign up to run because competing for they're basically gonna compete the next 2 years for a top spot for a charter for the next however many years. I mean, I think the if you miss a high limit race, you're gonna get your charter taken away. Is
hmm
basically what they said, which makes sense. That be part of like the contract, but a lot of people they're like you said about like the teams, like people are afraid that it will be harder for teams to go join the high limit. Like they're making it more
hmm
exclusive than it should be than what the World of Outlaws have been in years past. But they did say they'll still have the points fund money and tow money for like 11th on back or whatever, however many more cars run full time other than the 10 charter teams. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. And Brad Sweet said didn't have all they didn't have all the details worked out quite yet. They're still working on it, but it'll be kind of interesting to see how this like if the Outlaws see how this works and then switch to this, and same thing with like the late models and stuff.
I don't think you'll see them switch. They've had a system that's worked for the past however many years. There's no reason to switch.
Yeah, but I don't mean like the next 5 years, but maybe like 15,
Yeah,
20 years
yeah.
down the road, seeing how well it works, maybe. And a lot of teams like the idea of having an idea of how much streaming is bringing in, because the
That's
whole
true.
thing with World Racing Group is they don't like that. They don't know. And they're like,
Hmm.
how much money are you making? Why aren't we getting more money from it if it's making so much money? Like, there's too many unknowns, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Then again, we don't even know if the Outlaws or um, High Limit will be around in 15 years. So
That is also
kind of
true.
hard to gauge that.
I mean, just like the two splits before in the professional sprint car national series, I think they only lasted like a year or two, and then those series kind of fell apart and
Hmm.
went back to Outlaws. But the split in like '06, now it partly didn't continue because the guy that owned the series and started competing series, he passed away shortly, like I think like like following year after he started it. So that kind of played a lot with not being successful and still around. But it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how everything goes on. But then I also this weekend Ohio Sprint Speed Week was announced. It is just 1 week. Once they're not doing a split speed week, which is great, and it's going to be fast sanctioned. And the reason it's not split is the cooperation of the tracks, and Flow Racing and World Racing Group helped like get the deal worked out and stuff. They didn't want to see two different Ohio Speed Weeks, which is, I mean, I've never seen like Flow and World Racing Group work so well together for this. But it's nine
Well,
race.
it's sorry, didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no, you can go.
I think they're working well together because it's not uh outlaw sanctioned and it's not all high limit sanctioned. So
Well, it's still high limit owned, but they like shipped it
yeah,
off to the Fast Series.
yeah.
But it is still good to see that they were able to work together and stuff. And like I was saying, it's 9 races from June 7th to the 15th. So like a week after Western PA Sprint Speed Week. So, somebody could come over and hit both speed weeks and make some good money. They're gonna go to Attica, Fremont, Waynesfield, Wayne County, Hilltop, Sharon, Muskegum, Millstream, and Atomic. And that's big news for Millstream because they are they got new owners or promoters this fall. Actually, I don't think they've been open the past couple years if I remember correctly. So that's good news that they're getting a speed week. And a lot of these tracks are smaller, but I think Millstream is a half mile if I remember correctly. But half the week's going to be streamed on Dirt Vision and the other half on Flow Racing, which is probably part of the what was probably part of the problem because Attica and Sharon have Dirt Vision tracks for a couple years now. Fremont and the Attica Fremont Championship Series, both I've heard are going to be Dirt Vision tracks and series this coming year. So that's probably played part of it and stuff. And it would just be nice to be able to have a speed week and see how that works out.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's like one night could be on dirt fish and one night's on float racing, right? Not split week.
Yeah, and
No.
that's how
Okay.
like I mean, I have the tracks and like I on our notes I put them in like the order that they're on the schedule.
Hmm.
And so like the first two races are Attica and Fremont, they're going to be on Dirt Vision. I'm not sure about the other tracks, but then I know Sharon, which is in the middle of the week, it's going to be on Dirt Vision as well. So it's kind of, I'm guessing it, well, I guess there's 9 races, so it won't be exactly half and half, but I'm sure it's going to be like split like 4 tracks versus 5 or something like that. But it'll be nice that they're both on the bigger streaming services and not like the Fast Series has a streaming service they use. And no offense to them, I'm not, well, it has to do with all the different series and tracks around the country that use their own little streaming services. I don't want to pay that extra money just to watch them.
Hmm.
When like Flow, you get like you don't just get racing, you get a ton of racing, not just dirt racing, but you get like football and like all these other sports. And then Dirt Vision, you get a bunch of tracks and a bunch of the top series. So it's just kind of worth more of your money than in my opinion, but maybe someday, like if I win the lottery, I'll have all the streaming services for services for racing and just, have to buy like a million TVs so I can watch all the races. But
Yeah, so then I guess we can move into the two and only schedules that we have this week. NARC, which is a 410 uh, group, they released their schedule 26 races at 17 different tracks.
yeah, I didn't put the highlights because it was kind of hard to figure because it's the NARC 410 series is, California, Washington, Oregon area, like out there. Corey Day usually runs their series. He obviously won't be this year, but like Justin Sanders and Dominic Scelzi are some of the top drivers out there. They put on good racing and stuff, but I don't know too much of their like schedule and what tracks are it was just kind of hard to figure out what the highlights would be. But the Super Dirt Cup at Skagit, that's a really good race. Justin Sanders won that last year. I think he led every lap. So with the lap money and the it being 62,000 to win, he ended up making 82,000.
Hmm.
And so that's probably their biggest race. And then they got a couple like memorial races and stuff. And oh, be interesting to see who takes over for Corey Day as the champion this coming season since he's moving on to bigger and probably better things. Not saying that running a regional series isn't good, but I mean when you're running a national tour, that's as best as you can do. So
Uh, wasn't wasn't Tanner Holmes close to winning that last
yeah,
year?
yeah, he ran. So it's a 3-day show, and he was in the top 5 all 3 nights. So
What did he get, like second or third overall though, right?
I don't, they don't do overall thing, I don't believe.
Oh, okay.
But I think on the last night he got like, I think the last night was his worst finish of the 3 days, I think, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly. And it was like fourth or something. Like,
Yeah.
he did, like, watching how well he did now, th those 3 days kind of was like, man, he's starting to click this year. This is like it was like the start of his breakout season, and as me and you both and everybody saw that he continued to have great success at the 360 Nationals, the Knoxville Nationals. He did
Hmm.
well and turned it into a great opportunity with Shark Racing.
Yeah.
But
Um, so PPMS released their schedule. Um, and they have 29 races. A few of their highlights. Their opener is the Pot of Gold 75, which includes the Fast, ULMS, and SCDRA series. Um, April 6th, they have the rush sprints. May 15th, they have the rush sprints again. May 30th, they were added onto PA Western Sprint Week this week or this year, correct? They weren't on it last
They
year.
were on it last year.
Okay. Um, June 29th, they have the Boss Wingless Sprints. July 13th, they have the 410 wing sprints. August 10th, they have the Heat Wave 25, which is super late models. August 17th is Rush Sprints. August 31st is a Blue Collar Brawl, which is through the Fast Series. September 28th is a championship night plus Rush Sprints. And then October 4th through 5th is a Pittsburgher 100 with it's the Lucas Oil late models with the Rush late models.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see. I think they got about 410 shows this year, and they got with the same amount for the super late models, with the one being a 2-day Lucas Oil show. Um, but I believe the past couple years they've ran about like 2 to 4 410 wing races, and then um, it's gonna be interesting. The opener, I forgot to put the what date it was, but the pot of gold, we talked about it before, but I think it's like March 16th or something like that. So it'll be, I don't ever remember a track having their opener earlier than like April 20 something, like 23rd, or because Lernerville is usually the first track around here to open, and it's always like the either the third or fourth Friday of the month of April. So it'll be interesting to see how well that goes.
Yeah,
And they have a couple days in March.
they better hope there's not still snow on the track for the March 16th date.
I mean, it'll be interesting. They're all 12 p.m. starts at the in the month of March, which is good. And I mean, they can do it because I always wonder why Western PA tracks never did it, because out in Central PA, Lincoln has a race in February called the Icebreaker. And
Yeah.
then then they race some in March if they can. And Port Royal opens up usually in like March as well. And it will just, I don't, I never understood why we never tried it out this way.
Hmm.
And it's going to be interesting to see how well it works. And if it works well, maybe we'll have some other tracks try something like that. But I mean, the rush sprints to go there, I think about like 6 times, and that'll be good. I know they're supposed to go to Hummingbird quite a bit as well this coming season, and I we haven't had their full schedule come out yet, but they dropped those little bit of hints about the Hummingbird and PPMS, so it'll be interesting to see. And then the Boss series, which is owned by the Fast series and Boss series are sister series. So it's nice to see that they're coming over to Western PA. It'll be interesting to see how many races the Fast and Boss have in Western PA. I know last year they had quite a bit of the Fast series, and I think they had a few Boss series races as well. But it'll be interesting to see if they try to expand with the All-Stars leaving a void. So maybe the Fast series kind of filling that with they already run some in Indiana, Ohio, and PA, so it'll be interesting to see if they how much they expand this coming season.
Hmm. Um, so then the Gateway Nationals in St. Louis are going to be they're going to be this. What day is it?
So last night was
So
the
they
first
started
night.
last night, um, and they're going to be last night until Saturday, and we will talk about the results upcoming. But um, if I saw correctly, there was a bunch of controversial things that happened yesterday. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, excuse me. But yeah, there was a controversial, well, it's the dome racing, that stuff happens all the time. But I don't know.
Well, from what I saw, the leader blocked literally every car coming out of the turn.
Yeah, that I think his name is Jason Feger, and then Carson Hocevar was the one that he retaliated against under
Hmm.
caution, who is going into his rookie year in the Cup Series this coming year. But yeah, I've seen almost everybody say it's not Hocevar's fault,
Hmm.
but and I mean I don't like the retaliation and stuff, but just because people could get hurt. But I can understand your night's ruined. You're like, don't want that guy to. uh, If my night's ruined, your night's ruined too. But like, you gotta be like, spin him out. Like, don't freaking
Hmm.
drive out his driver's side door. I mean, but I don't know. This is I mean, I've seen a sprint car driver use their car as a weapon like that before on like Twitter, like within the past couple of years. So I was gonna say that's why I like sprint cars better because you don't see that stuff. Well, I can't say that because that has happened before, but that's just dome. That's just how the dome is. Sadly, they say it's like racing fighter jets in a gymnasium. And then I saw somebody add to that statement on a go-kart track. So
Yeah,
it's crazy. But there's a few local guys I saw that were there, like Western PA guys. One say I saw John Lee was there. He's Western PA guy. Uh, Bo Lockwood, he was there, or I don't know if he was actually there, but he was on the entry list before. Ryan Montgomery, he's a from West Virginia, but he runs up in Western PA quite a bit. He's supposed to be racing tonight, I believe. I saw on the entry list. And then I saw Dave Hess Jr. For the UMP modifieds or E-mods or whatever they're called. He got the quick time. He is a phenomenal driver. He runs up at like State Line and Erie's weekly. Like freaking he's like the guy probably in this area, but he just kind of runs up there now, doesn't travel too much anymore with his I think his son races like go-karts or something now, so like he's kind of focused on doing, being a good dad and not just
hmm,
racing all the time, but he can wheel a super late model and a E-mod pretty damn good. So it'll be Nick I think it'll be interesting to see how some of the local guys do. Hopefully they don't get their equipment junked and they can bring it back and have a good season this coming year.
yep,
But the Power Eye also has a race this weekend, the junior Nep I don't even know how to say it. Nepper
never.
Knepper 55. It's a midget and micro races. It's this Saturday, December 16th at the Southern Illinois Center. Um They, I think they almost have 50 cars or 50 midgets entered for the race, and then I think they got like 20 some micros, which isn't bad. I mean, I don't know. Probably that's actually really good considering the micros have the Tulsa shootout right after New Year's
Yeah,
at,
Tanner's at that race
at the
at
which
the
race?
Nepper 55.
Okay. And then like when the midget turnout is actually really phenomenal, especially also with the Chili Bowl coming up the second week of January, where I believe they already passed 300 entries. We'll try to dive deeper into the list for it like next week or something like within the coming weeks. Maybe we'll make some picks for the episode that comes out that Monday, the first day of the Chili Bowl. But yeah, so it's got some racing going on this year or right now still, so that's good.
The Knoxville Nationals announced. I saw it. I saw it yesterday, but I don't know when they announced it. Sometime this week that It was going to be 190,000 to win, which is the highest paid Knoxville Nationals ever.
Yeah, now was announced yesterday. And I also before I
Okay.
saw it officially announced, I saw somebody post they got their ticket renewal for the Knoxville Nationals and it said it on the ticket renewal that it was 190,000 to win and they were like the person was like, are you announcing it by mail this time? Because I guess they hadn't made an announcement yet, but then it was the first person I saw post about or like say it was announced was Always Race Day on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it still. But that's really good to see that it's I think it's like a 5,000 or 10,000 increase, but I
Hmm.
mean, I'm sure their payout through the field is phenomenal. That's why you see that's partly why you see saw more tra or more drivers there than at the uh Eldora Million and the Huset's High Bank Nationals. But the Huset's race, it'll be interesting to see if they get more cars this coming year or this coming season with not only the 250,000 High Bank uh Nationals, but you also have like the High Bank Hustle or something like that's 100,000 to win like 2 days before. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that goes. But I mean, it's a good time to be a sprint car driver. Good time to be a sprint car driver, especially if you're one of the top drivers in the country.
Yeah. So last week we discussed that we were going to talk about our top 10 dirt tracks or what we think is the top 10. Um, I have mine in no particular order with an honorable mention. Um, but yeah, if you want to go first, you can, and then I'll talk about mine.
Okay, throwing me under the bus there. Let me pull. I have it on my notes in my phone. I wasn't smart enough to put it on the the show notes, but I didn't want to tip my hand. Oh shoot, if I can. Oh, I was looking right at it and missed it. Yeah, this isn't in any order specifically, and this was probably the hardest thing to do because there's so many good tracks. I like thinking trying to make a list made me realize how many great tracks there are. And but to start off, um, Port Royal, that's a phenomenal facility, great track, like hardly any dust. Like it's amazing. I've only been there once, need to go again. Uh, Lernerville, I mean, it's the top, one of the top tracks in Western PA area. Bathrooms aren't that great, but other than that, the track, everything's amazing.
They have
Usually put on a good
fantastic
show.
porta potties when they actually get them.
Yeah, I wish they had porta potties all the time because they're so much nicer than the bathrooms.
The trough.
Well, dude, and then like the toilets are always like clogged or something. I mean,
That's just a dirt track.
I don't know, dude, I've been to Port Royal's toilets aren't clogged, but they're also a fairground, so maybe that's why. But Sharon's also on my list. It's a great track. It's really cool where the old half mile, you can walk on the back stretch of it, like leaving the back stretch grandstands. Always puts on a nice show and stuff. I mean, both Lernerville and Sharon both get real slick and stuff. But Sharon especially gets really slick. Um, and they put on great racing. Both tracks do. Uh, Next on my list is Kokomo. I mean, enough said about it. It's a racy quarter mile. From what I've seen, it's like the best track in Indiana. I mean, that might be a hot take because there's a lot of great tracks in Indiana, but it's on my it's high up there on my bucket list. The next one is Fairbury. It always seems like it puts on real good late model races and stuff, so I'm sure it'd put on a great sprint car show. Um, I can't remember what the size, but it's a smaller racy track. I love it on the World of Outlaws game, one of my favorites. And then next on my list is Hobstadt. Also, it's actually named Tri-State, but everybody calls it Hopstot. So when people call you by the town, it calls a track by the town, it's a great track. And I mean, it puts on great races, wingless, uh, winged 410s. Um, always, there's been like the past like 6 years, I think there's been like three first time winners for that World of Outlaws there. This past year it was Brady Bacon and it was a great race. Next on my list is Davenport in Iowa. It's puts on it's a track that it's a quarter mile now, I believe. And then it used to be a half mile and they drive on the half mile part to get onto the quarter mile. Um Puts on great late model races and stuff. And I think like I can't remember, I think it's a high limit date they have. But I can't wait to watch that race on Flow. It is going to be phenomenal, and it's just it's going to be people are going to go over the top of the edge and
Hmm.
stuff, and it's going to be amazing. And then Attica's next on my list. Just an iconic track, especially in Ohio. Um, the always puts on great races, especially the All-Star races. I mean, this past year talked about going for the All-Star points opener there, but then it got
Hey,
rained
we
out.
planned on going, not talked about it. We were
Yeah,
ready to go.
yeah, and then it got canceled like the day before because of rain. And then the next week I was watching it and I'm yelling at the TV at Craig Mintz to go. I'm yelling, "Go Mintz, go." And my mom's thinking she's upstairs and hears me yelling and thinks I'm yelling, "Go Mitch, go." And thinking I'm yelling at somebody to run away from like drug dealers or something, she said. So that's how into it I was getting, that I was yelling so much that uh, she thought someone was running for their life, but he did end up winning that race. Um, excuse me. Uh, Next on my list is not like a big car track. It is Millbridge.
Did you
Uh,
copy my list?
no,
I I put that on there, and I thought I was like, "There's no way he puts Millbridge on there."
dude, now I'm thinking about it, I should put like the Chili Bowl because that is a phenomenal
I thought about
venue.
it, but
But it's part-time dirt track. But Millbridge, well, enough said that like we're both having on our list. Like, I mean, they put on great micro races, and you get it's amazing. They get like NASCAR guys to come, or NASCAR guys kids to race and stuff. So you have like Dale Jr.'s nephew was like front battling and out front sliders against like Kyle Busch and
hmm
like Cannon McIntosh. And McIntosh is a top midget driver, and Kyle Busch is enough said, and you don't have to explain, but like you don't get that anywhere else. Um, and then watching Brandon Shepherd test for the dome on it made me realize there's no way full size cars can race on it because
No.
it's not wide enough or anything. And but I'm sure eventually it will be in the World of Outlaw video game. I heard I'd heard in an interview of the owner that she said that iRacing was supposed to scan the track for it to go into iRacing. So eventually it will be in the Outlaw game. And hopefully it's next year because I mean, I'm sure now will be a fun track to race anything on in the game because in the game you can race anything anywhere. But then my last track on my list, I saved the granddaddy of them all for last is Knoxville.
Knoxville. I knew you were going to say Knoxville.
Like it puts on phenomenal racing, and I just I think it's amazing, and it's the history. You got the the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and like I forget what turn it is, but you have it right there, and then I mean thousands of people, hundreds of thousands probably go there in August for one reason only, and that town blows up. And
Mhm.
I, it's you can't say enough about Knoxville. But it was so hard not to add more tracks on this list because there's so many great tracks. But that is my list, and I'll let you talk about your list now, Tim. And I mean, I did mine. I had mine done before you. You said you only had five when I said I had mine done.
I did fix mine. So,
So you probably
um,
copied mine.
no, we overlap a little bit. In the list that I wrote it out, I have Port Royal, Lernerville, and Kokomo, which all overlap with you. I also have Knoxville and Millbridge that overlap. The rest are different though. So I I picked mainly sprint car tracks because I don't watch much late model racing, so I didn't want to put those tracks in. Um, but I have USITS on there. I think USITS is a decently good track. It
Yeah.
brings in good drivers. Obviously, it's not like I don't think it's one of the best tracks in the world, but when they do race there, they bring in big races, good cars, and good drivers. So,
Well, yeah, and they race 410s weekly, and I always hear about how it's always a good show and stuff.
mhm.
And I mean, I thought about putting it on my list, but I did not make the cut.
So my next track is Eldora, and it kind of pained me to put it on this list because I think the historical aspect of it is great. I don't think the track is that great, but I feel like you can't leave it off if you're comparing some of the best racing tracks in the world. Um,
Yeah. The atmosphere for the big events are amazing as well. So now I don't like the track surface. I mean, that's also the same thing with Williams Grove, in my opinion. The track
Williams Grove
surface,
didn't make my list.
but the historic with both of them having a history and a historic value in the big events, I could see
Yeah.
someone putting them on the list. But the track surfaces are not good to say the least.
No, so then my personal top three tracks that I haven't gone to that I want to go to that I put on this list are first Silver Dollar. I think it brings in pretty good racing, pretty good series events. Obviously it's owned by some pretty sick guys, so that helps. Um, Lake Ozark, I always like when High Limit goes to Lake Ozark. Or not High Limit,
Or
All Stars, not High Limit.
yeah, because I
Um,
think high limit goes to Lakeside usually.
yeah, yeah. So I'd love to go to Lake Ozark eventually. And then my final track, I put Lincoln on there. I think Lincoln's a really good track. Very racy track. Brings in good cars. It's not it's I think it's comparable with like Lernerville and Port Royal. A little bit
Yeah.
under them, but and
I would
then
yeah.
God,
I was gonna say Lincoln and Port Royal are like the top two and probably Central PA, if not
yeah.
all of PA. I've never been to Lincoln, so I don't know how well their bathrooms are. So if they're like Lernerville's bathrooms, they might be on the same level. But
Um and then I have a few honorable mentions. You mentioned Attica. I put that on there. Put Williams Grove on there for the historical aspect, but I don't think the top 10 track, in my personal opinion. If they fix the fucking race, sorry. If they
hey,
fix
no
the
flags
race,
given.
yeah, if they fix the race surface, it would definitely be on there. But at least they finally tore down the stupid bridge. That's
Dude,
a step in the right direction.
no, I think they should have kept the bridge because like maybe make it taller so like a little safer. But actually, I don't know if anybody's ever hit the bridge. I don't. I'll have to look into that. Maybe that'll be a whole episode of us trying to find if someone hit the bridge before. But
Yeah,
I mean, that track's just gonna look weird now without the
it
bridge.
already looks weird.
Yeah, because it's very. I mean, Greg Harnett, uh, he has like a 2 or 3 minute video explaining how to run a good lap, how to run one lap at Williams Grove because of how technical it is. And that just
I
tells you
can't
how
even run
difficult it is.
consistent laps on that track in a game. So I don't know how it would work in real life.
Well, that's why we're talking about racing and not actually racing.
Right. So then my final three tracks I have for honorable mentions are Lucas Oil, the Lucas Oil dirt track, not the asphalt track. Um, Charlotte in North Carolina. And had to put Tri City Raceway on there too.
The MPA, because
Yeah.
there is one in I believe Illinois is the where the other one is. But dude, I would not. Dude, Tri-City
That was a
is
joke.
good because I'm like maybe someday. I mean, I think it has potential. What?
I
Well,
mean,
hold on.
historically, it's been a pretty good track, just not in the past 20 years.
I would say
Past 10
15
years.
years,
Yeah,
15,
15 thing.
because whenever we were like in early elementary school, I would say when it started really going downhill. But but yeah, your list is very good. I mean, it was so hard. I thought about putting Lakeside.
Hmm.
Um, like there was a few other ones that I thought about putting on there, but just there's just too many. Uh, but I something I want to talk about though that I didn't have in the notes is since our lists have a lot of good half mile tracks is I think Tri-City could have the potential to whoever owns it next if they want to shorten the track or not, but I think if they leave it at a half mile, if they can figure out how to keep that surface good, um I could see it being a real good racy. It's hard to have racy half miles, but I think if you get figure out the surface, like Port Royal has, Knoxville, Lakeside, you can have a good racy half mile, and if you can figure it out, then it's gonna put on good shows and stuff.
Tri City has a big enough bank too that if they can just figure out their surface, that helps a lot because it's not like a Williams Grove half mile where it's super technical. They have a big enough bank that you can throw sliders, you can maneuver around the track. Like Williams Grove is freaking narrow.
Yeah, but like just there's I mean, I don't, a lot of tracks in Western PA, well, and just PA in general, are actually half miles, which is kind of
Hmm.
mind blowing. That, like, I know Sealands Grove is a half mile PPMS, and I'm sure there's a few other ones that are as well, but I've never been to PPMS, so I don't think I've actually watched a race there, even on like Lucas Oil or anything. So it'll be interesting to see how well, the surface like not surfaces. Hopefully I go to a race this year down there, but maybe
Lernerville is about
compare.
as close as you can get to a half mile without being a half mile.
Yeah, like 410s I think is what they call themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. But that's probably about it for this episode. I don't think we have too much to talk about, but
Yeah.
so like, comment, subscribe, follow, rate 5 stars, whatever. We're pretty much on all the um anything you can listen to, we're on it, like Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, um,
Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah, we've been on Spotify from the beginning, and then we're on YouTube as well, so you can look at our ugly mugs. But yeah, so just we're on Instagram and Twitter, and that's about it for now. But give no flags, and say that, drop an F bomb like Tim did.
Yeah. My bad.
No, you're good.
All right. Peace.
See ya.